Welcome to Discover Janesville. My name is Yuri Rashkin, and we are guests today at Speakeasy Restaurant here in downtown Janesville. Our next guest is Keim. Aaron, you have, well, we'll get to the CD, but first of all, you're a musician, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Yuri.
Thanks. You are performing with your band, Boulder Acoustic Society at the Janesville Performing Arts Center. You're here brought by Janesville Presents, but you actually have extensive Janesville roots.
Yes.
Should you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I grew up here. I lived here from when I was 4 years old until I graduated from Craig in '97. And I went to UW-Whitewater for college and got a degree in music education. I actually came back to Janesville and taught for a time in the Janesville Public Schools. So I taught at Craig and then at several elementary schools. I taught orchestra. And then I left for Colorado in 2003.
That's a nice from beginning to end right there. And you're playing a lot of different instruments, but it seems like they're all string instruments.
Nowadays, yes, mostly. I went to college to play the French horn, and that's what I played when I was at Craig. And while I was in college, I picked up the string bass just sort of for fun, just to play music with my friends. And but it's turned into my career ever since. And I still will occasionally play some wind instruments, but not like I used to.
Cool. How did being from Janesville and kind of acquiring all the experiences that come with growing up in a place affect who you are and what kind of music you want to play and in that kind of direction?
Well, you know, the schools and the teachers I had in Janesville were just really supportive, and I was just kind of had crazy ideas about what I wanted to do, and nobody really tried to stop me from doing them. So I think that's the best training.
That's a good start when nobody stops you.
Yeah, just like, you know, I had support from everybody. So I think that the educators, my parents, and the culture in the town just was supportive of kids doing cool musical and artistic stuff. So, you know, my friends and I started a band when we were in high school and used to play at parties and, you know, people's basements and things, and, you know, had lots of parents and teachers that would let us borrow equipment and play in their basements and things like that. And it was just a good town to grow up, big enough to have stuff to do and stuff to see, but small enough to be safe and supportive, I think.
Cool. So it helped you, sounds like, with developing your musical skills, and then you took them on the road, and now you're doing a lot of. I'm seeing with the CD, with the sounds of your band that I've been able to hear online, and as well, it sounds like with your masters, you're very much interested in Americana and going back to 1930s or even earlier with the sound. What about that sound that appeals to you?
Well, I think I just really like and appreciate cultural history, and that's kind of part of it for sure. And so what I like about old music is that when you look at something through the lens of history, you can understand how it all connects and fits together and supports a culture and comes from a culture. And so I appreciate that, and I love playing old music, but the best part is the people I play with, we get to play old music in a completely new way. I mean, we don't attempt to or try to be the original people that did it. You know, there are masters that we're learning from, but
even though some of the things that I've heard online, you playing with just you and ukulele, it really sounds like something like an old record that you would pick up.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, well, it's like you have to come from that starting point with roots music, that like if you learn how it was really done correctly 80 years ago, then you can put your own spin on it and go from there. And when it comes to like the online and the ukulele world and stuff, I do have an interesting role as like an educator to people about these older sounds and styles. So the things I'm posting that people ask me to put on YouTube, etc., they're oftentimes very traditional and very simple and straightforward because there's people learning from me who live all over the world. And so I can be the one to show them how it was done correctly.
Well, it's kind of an interesting side note because, you know, a beautiful thing about internet, you can teach anybody anywhere in the world from wherever it is you are.
Yeah.
If there's something that they want to learn, because I saw that you have a claw hang. How is it pronounced?
Claw hammer.
Claw hammer. And you have like 80,000 hits for just that clip because everybody can go and learn how to do claw hammer the right way.
And
that you move the wrist in and out and not just up and down. Right.
Well, and that's an interesting connection to our cultural history stuff we're talking about. The style of playing a banjo or ukulele in this claw hammer style, that comes from the southeastern part of the United States. That's an Appalachian Mountains style of banjo playing. So me living in Janesville, without the internet, how would I have ever have learned about it and found it. And I mean, there's nobody in Janesville who played banjo when I was a kid except for my friend Jason. I knew one kid who played banjo, and he didn't play that style. For Wisconsin, old time music is polkas and waltzes, and which I love to play, but I specialize in old time music from the southern part of the United States, even though I'm not from there. If it was 80 years ago, I never would have been able to learn this stuff. But being able to travel and meet these people as I travel and then stay connected to the internet and see videos of people from 80 years ago online doing these things. And so that's our cultural history now, is this internet culture of being able to share these things all over the world.
How is knowing how to play ukulele important to our development, to our cultural development now?
Well, learning how to play any instrument right now is like a cultural statement, in that because you're learning how to do something yourself and do it and produce a bit of culture and music on your own. Now, trust me, I have an iPod and it's full of music. I listen to it all the time. But it's
nothing but ukulele music.
No,
right?
No, it's everything. But what I'm saying is that when there wasn't recorded music and you didn't have an iPod and this and that, if you wanted music, you had to make it yourself. Now we can listen to it. We can listen to everything ever recorded right now if we want to. So learning how to play an instrument, learning how to play the ukulele or something like that is putting yourself in a place of creating something by yourself.
Like piano sales aren't what they used to be.
No, exactly. But there's people, you can go buy a ukulele for $100 that will last you your whole lifetime. And you can, if you learn 4 or 5 chords, you can play 1,000,000 songs. And if you really like the Beatles, you can learn how to play all the Beatles songs on the ukulele. If you really like,
I mean, if you can play 4 chords, you can play entire, Green Day discography right there.
All of Neil Young is available to you with 3 lessons on the ukulele. So it's about so there's this really fascinating cultural movement right now of people realizing that they need to be able to create something on their own that's not prepackaged for them, but it's their thing.
And you're very serious about ukulele. You're very serious about banjo. You have your own company. You manufacture these. How did you decide that this was something that you wanted to do?
Well, I got into making things and learning how to use tools and stuff when I was in the Cub Scouts and the Boy Scouts. And I was a camp counselor for 7 years. And so when something was broken at camp, you had to learn how to fix it yourself because there was no one who was going to do it for you. And then when I got the job at Janesville Craig, I came to the job halfway through the school year. So the budget for repair of instruments was already spent. But there was a lot of instruments that were broken that needed work so the kids could play them. So I just kind of started to learn how to repair the instruments on my own and do the upkeep. And that I became really interested in restoring instruments. And when I moved to Colorado, I started to restore old instruments just to learn about them. And that, over the years, has morphed into me now building my own. And I have a shop in my basement, and when I'm not traveling on the road, I build instruments. And I've built around 100 instruments now in the last 4 or 5 years. And that also is kind of like a do-it-yourself kind of situation where I didn't like it.
How do you find materials to build a musical instrument out of? It's not just you don't go to Home Depot, I would think.
No. I mean, it's like anything. Once you get into it, you figure out how to do it. But it took a long time to get those things together. Now I specialize in making instruments from wood that is salvaged from like old buildings and. I purposely don't use like newly cut tropical woods. Like I don't want to contribute to the deforestation of our world. So like when people rip floorboards out of an old building like this or something, I'll get my hands on some of that wood and keep it and put it in the basement. And when it's kind of salvaging wood from other furniture makers or other instrument makers and kind of using those pieces. Because also just the older wood is just kind of, it's cool.
Well, there's history with it.
Yeah. And when I make an instrument for somebody, and if I can say, oh, that piece of wood is from a bleacher seat from a high school in Oregon, and it's a 200-year-old piece of fur on the wood, on the top, that's a special thing for a person, and they appreciate that, for sure.